This episode is sponsored by Audible. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, and they have over 100,000 titles available for download. Visit audibletrial.com/The Skald Circle to begin your trial and download your free audiobook today. It's time to relax, grab a drink, pull up a chair by the hearth, and have a seat in the Skald Circle to listen to the story of Crab from Italian Folklore, as told by Mynogan. Before we begin our story, we wanted to remind you that we release new tales for free every week. Our shorter tales release on Wednesdays, and our longer chapter stories release on every other Saturday. Find out where you can hear them on our website at thescaldcircle.com, and be certain to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. That way, you'll never miss out on one of our enchanting tales from around the world. In addition to our reminder, we have some exciting news for the month of July. You've likely noticed that our format sounds a bit different. Not only that, but you may have heard, in addition to our story releases on Wednesdays, we will also now be releasing longer, chapter-length stories on every other Saturday. As if that isn't exciting enough, starting on July 9th, we will begin hosting Fireside Stories with the Skald Circle at 7 p.m. Central Time, every other Thursday. Our Fireside Stories will be a live stream of Casimir and I regaling you with tales that you may have never heard before, along with some of our witty banter. So if you want to experience what a live show from the Skald Circle is like, that may be of interest to you. You can find out more details under the events section on our website. Now then, without further ado, this is Crab. There was once a king who had lost a valuable ring. He looked for it everywhere, but he could not find it. So he issued a proclamation that if any astrologer could tell him where it was, he would be richly rewarded. A poor peasant by the name of Crab heard of the proclamation. He could neither read nor write, but took it into his head that he wanted to be the astrologer to find the king's ring. So he went and presented himself to the king, to whom he said, "Your Majesty must know that I am an astrologer. Although you see me so poorly dressed, I know that you've lost a ring, and I will try by study to find out where it is." "Very well," said the king. "And when you have found it, what reward must I give you?" "Why, that is at your discretion, your Majesty." "Go then, study, and we will see what kind of an astrologer you turn out to be." He was conducted to a room, in which he was to be shut up to study. It contained only a bed and a table on which there were a large book and writing materials. Crab seated himself at the table and did nothing but turn over the leaves of the book, and scribbled the paper so that the servants who brought him his food thought that he was a great man. They were the ones who had stolen the ring, and from the severe glances that the peasant cast at them whenever they entered, they began to fear that they would be found out. They made him endless bows and never opened their mouths without calling him Mr. Astrologer. Crab, who although was illiterate, was, as a peasant, cunning. And he all at once imagined that the servants must know about this ring, and this is the way that his suspicions were confirmed. He had been shut up in his room, turning over his big book and scribbling his paper for a month, when his wife came to visit him. He said to her, "Hide yourself under the bed, and when a servant enters, say, 'This is one,' and when another one comes, say, 'This is two,' and so on." So the woman hid herself. The servants came with the dinner, and hardly had the first one entered when a voice under the bed said, "That is one." The second one entered, and the voice said, "That is two," and so on. The servants were frightened at hearing that voice, for they did not know where it came from, and held a consultation. One of them said, "We are discovered. If the astrologer denounces us to the king as thieves, we are lost." "Do you know what we must do?" said another. "Let us hear." "We must go to the astrologer and tell him frankly that we stole the ring, and ask him not to betray us, and present him with a purse of money. Are you willing?" perfectly. So they went in harmony to the astrologer, and making him a lower bow than usual, one of them began, "Mr. Astrologer, you have discovered that we stole the ring. We are poor people, and if you reveal it to the king, we are undone. So we beg you not to betray us and accept this purse of money." Crab took the purse and then added, "I will not betray you, but you must do what I tell you if you wish to save your lives. Take the ring and make that turkey in the courtyard swallow it, and leave the rest to me." The servants were satisfied to do so and departed with a low bow. The next day, Crab went to the king and said to him, "Your Majesty must know that after having toiled a month, I have succeeded in discovering where the ring has gone to." "Well, where is it then?" asked the king. "A turkey has swallowed it." "A turkey? Very well, let us see." They went for the turkey, opened it, and found the ring inside. The king, amazed, presented the astrologer with a large purse of money and invited him to a banquet. Among the other dishes, there was brought on the table a plate of crabs. Crabs must then have been very rare, because only the king and a few others knew their name. Turning to the peasant, the king said, "You, who are an astrologer, must be able to tell me the name of these things which are in this dish." And the poor astrologer was very much puzzled, and as if speaking to himself, but in such a way that the others heard him, he muttered, "Oh, Crab, Crab, what a plight you're in!" All who did not know that his name were Crab rose and proclaimed him the greatest astrologer in the world. And that is a tale of Crab from Italian Folklore. Thank you for listening to our story. If you enjoyed it, we recommend taking a look at our Patreon page as noted in the description below. You can earn great rewards while also supporting us to keep these stories alive for future generations to come. Also remember to subscribe to us on your podcast application and leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed this story. A special thank you to Kat for their support this month. Without your contribution, we wouldn't be able to continue these stories, and we truly appreciate it. Visit thescaldcircle.com to stay up to date with all of our current events, news, and much more. Not only that, but you can also visit our story archive of every tale we have told. It's sorted by origin and region for the convenience of your listening pleasure. Thank you for listening to our story. Don't forget, this episode is sponsored by Audible, the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks. While this story is over, you can still visit audibletrial.com/thescaldcircle to begin your trial and download your free audiobook today. Let us know what you've listened to recently on Audible via our Facebook page. We're always looking for new recommendations.